A long overdue cooling trend. That's one way realtors are describing the local housing market.
Frantic bidding and drive-by home buying have given way to thoughtful negotiations between buyers and sellers.
At a press conference last week, realtors took a look at what's ahead in 2023. They said the housing market's craziness of the past couple of years is far from the norm and is returning to pre-pandemic levels. Cities that saw the most home sales in 2022 included Maple Grove, Plymouth, and Brooklyn Park. But those cities also saw what was described as a staggering drop in sales last fall.
I don't think there's anything regional that ties into that area that makes it different as a metro area in general. I think it's just that we saw that reaction to a market, an interest rate that felt like it changed overnight.
Also on the horizon, realtors say there's more interest in tiny homes and accessory dwelling units. Golden Valley, for instance, recently approved an ordinance legalizing accessory dwelling units, considered by city officials as a really important tool to create more affordable housing options for seniors. This legislative session, longtime New Hope Senator Ann Rest was the first to get a bill to the governor's desk to sign. Senator Ann Rest is chair of the Senate Tax Committee, and she was all smiles when we sat down and spoke with her right after the bill's signing. Here's Senator Ann Rest in today's Newsmakers segment.
It was thrilling, and it was thrilling because it brought good news to Minnesota taxpayers to the tune of over $100 million in tax relief, conforming to the federal tax relief that they've gotten over the last 3 or 4 years. Minnesota's finally caught up, and people will be able to file their returns under this new law, their 2022 tax return, and then also amended returns from benefits that they had received earlier in the last 3 or 4 years from the federal government in a response to the challenges of COVID.
All right, and this had bipartisan support?
Unanimous bipartisan support.
How about it?
In both bodies, and that's what made the bill signing yesterday so celebratory, because there were Democratic legislators there, there were Republican legislators there, and then the new Commissioner of Revenue and the governor and the lieutenant governor. There were smiles everywhere.
There'll be smiles also for folks who had student loans, and they will get a little bit of money back now. Can you talk about that?
Well, yes. The federal government forgave some of the student loans in some of the student loan programs. But Minnesota did not conform to that, and so on their tax returns, these students, or people paying these student loans, had to add back that amount of money that they had been able to receive from the federal government without paying any taxes on it. And so now they will get that forgiven as well, and take that extra deduction. They'll also be able to benefit from the president's program this past year, depending on how the Supreme Court rules on his $10,000, $20,000 program. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. Does it make you optimistic for the rest of the session?
Well, it certainly does, and you should think that it would be easy to be bipartisan about a tax decrease, but people have different priorities and so forth, and what was so remarkable about this is how fast we did it. It was a unanimous vote in both bodies, and it's a big win for everyone. And in particular, I think of the governor's leadership to be able to reach out to both Democrats and Republicans to get them on board in such a quick time.
Right. Senator Ann Rest, thank you for being here today.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you.
At the state capitol, there's also a push to increase funding for the Attorney General's office by more than $4 million. A committee chaired by Representative Jenny Cleavorn of Plymouth considered the funding bill last Tuesday. Attorney General Keith Ellison says funding for the office has been flat over the last 20 years. County attorneys are backing the bill, saying they need more help prosecuting violent and white-collar crimes. However, Republicans serving on the committee, including Representative Danny Nadeau of Rogers, raised questions about accountability and efficiencies in the AG's office, wanting to make sure the extra funding would be well spent.
How is it that we can come at this point and say, you know what, our focus needs to be criminal, but we don't have any lawyers, we need more money, rather than looking at the efficiencies in the office to find that?
Litigation is more complicated, the population of the state has increased, and yet the budget of the AG's office is not.
The Attorney General's office is largely set up to handle consumer matters, everything from antitrust cases to charity fraud. But recently, the office has seen more requests to help handle felony criminal cases. Some days are perfect for a snowy walk in the woods, and students from Champlin Park High School got to do just that this week at the Mississippi Gateway Regional Park.
We just wanted to take it outside. We live in Minnesota, and so making friendships and bringing that outside and enjoying the nature around us and taking advantage of what Minnesota has to offer.
Students in the Unified Club spent the morning snowshoeing, playing outdoor sports, and making snow art in Brooklyn Park. The Unified Club aims to create a school climate where students with disabilities feel welcome and included in activities.
And it's just so heartwarming to see and so fun to see everyone connecting with each other and building that inclusion and everything. And we still have a long ways to go, but it's definitely building at Champlin Park, and I'm excited for the future for Unified.
This is the first time the Unified Club hosted what they called the Unified Invite out at the park.
God, that's so good.